A super spy becomes a super sister to a new super spy as they face off against more super spies.
Welcome to the Walt Vault with Andre,
Michelle,
Emily,
And Luis.
We are a family-friendly podcast where each and every week we watch and review a different Disney movie. Be sure to subscribe on all podcast platforms and YouTube. Enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to the Walt Vault, episode 151.
Yay. So fancy when you say it.
This is a very early morning recording of the Walt Vault. Too early for some, and also we've been experiencing some technical difficulties. So if this episode sounds a little different, it's because we're recording with completely different equipment.
an iPad.
A microphone from a single device instead of 4 separate microphones. So hopefully,
you're welcome. Maybe I'll be a little quieter this time.
Hopefully you can hear us all and we don't sound like complete garbage. But this week we are talking about the brand new 2021 Marvel film Black Widow.
I still want to call it a 2020 movie.
Well, it was definitely supposed to come out in the year 2020, and due to some unforeseen circumstances that we all had to deal with, it got delayed.
That affected the globe.
It got delayed until just about now. But even if this movie came out in 2020, I think it would have come out a little too late, honestly, for where it stands in the MCU timeline. So before we get into Black Widow, let me let y'all know that this is going to be a slightly more explicit episode than others. We're gonna let our freak flags fly.
Cause I'm fucking hungover.
Because of some other extenuating circumstances.
Lord. The rest of us woke up at a normal hour.
8 o'clock's not normal.
At a normal hour,
7
took our
o'clock.
kids to babysitters, and someone over here.
Yeah.
Someone over here is a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
I went to Dave and Buster's. I went to Top Golf. I went to bar, and I can't hang anymore.
Hey, take advantage, because once you have kids, you ain't going nowhere except to the potty or to the bathroom.
I'm okay with that.
to the potty or to the bathroom.
Here's the deal. One's for you, one's for the other one. So shut up.
Alright.
So shut up.
Michelle, I gotta go potty.
Alright, we'll potty too. It's okay.
Yeah, change your Andre's diaper.
My dye needs changing. So anyway, yeah. So hopefully you guys can hear us, and I'll do my best to make this episode sound good. So Black Widow, 2021, a brand new movie, the first Marvel movie of the year. What did we think of the new? Oh! Before we get into Black Widow, excuse me. It's time for Louis Asks a Question.
I don't know.
Thank you, Michelle.
All right, so this might be a little bit of a difficult one to swallow.
Okay.
But
We're eating, so that's not good for me.
Oh.
here's the deal. Okay. Would you rather punch your significant other
Yes.
in the face
I agree.
Yes.
All right, I don't like all this.
So
for $10 million,
Oh, yeah.
or would you rather be the one getting punched in the face for $5 million?
I punched my significant other.
That's really
easy.
No offense, that's easy.
Yeah.
10 mil versus 5 mil. I'm punching him.
Yeah, this one's pretty easy. She's getting knocked out. Laying her to rest.
But where would you punch me?
In the face.
It's gotta be in the
It has
face.
to be in the face.
It's in the face. You're gonna get a shiner.
Oh no, you're gonna look like Owen Wilson.
You're gonna break my nose?
Yeah,
Yeah.
break your nose.
Oh, okay.
10 million.
Dude,
we
this
can
is
use some of
better
that
than
money to get a
insurance
new
money.
nose.
Dude, y'all suck. I would not punch my wife for $10 million. $5 million
rather-
She'd
is just
probably
enough.
make you.
You'd rather
That's
take
10
it out
mil
of 10?
versus 5 mil. You better punch her.
$5 million is just enough.
No.
What are you guys
Just
trying to
enough.
do?
Just enough.
Wouldn't you tell him
I'm
to
trying to
punch
have
you?
10 million.
I'd be like, punch me right now.
Nah.
We know the deal. We know the drill. Honestly, let's punch each other and get 20. You know what I'm saying? I don't know who's giving out this money, but I'm trying to get paid.
People who like to see people punch their significant others.
Man, y'all are evil. All of you. I would not lay a finger on
I
you.
don't
Like
know
how
why
we
you're
said it was
surprised
like-
that we're evil. Louise.
He said it was hard to swallow. None of us even batted an eye.
Like, oh yeah,
Emily said yes first. She was like, yeah.
I hit it for sure.
I don't know
No.
why Louise is surprised at
Still,
all.
y'all suck.
We throwing punches. Yeah.
Emily raised me in college, so I turned into her. So.
Yeah, no, we punch your people.
Did you guys
Yeah.
ever watch Mr. and Mrs. Smith with Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie?
Yeah.
And they're married in that movie, but they're also secret super spies. So at one point they have to fight each other, and he's just like, bow, bow, bow. Angelina Jolie, take it in the face.
Oh, they're like on
okay.
opposite sides of the super spies?
Yeah,
But they're married?
Yeah, they're
And they're
married.
an issue.
But aren't they married in real life?
At that point,
I think they were. Yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah, no, not anymore. But yeah, it's gonna be going down like that. You know, we're tearing up the kitchen. It's getting messed up in there.
I don't know about you. I'm just happy with 5. You know, 10,
I'm just happy with 5.
5,
I
and my
want
wife.
it all.
And I can honestly say, as an honorable man, I never laid hands on my
We'll
wife.
pretend it never happened.
As an honorable man, I gained my wife $10 million. You know,
for sure.
and all I had to do was clock it.
Hey, and you never said how forceful it had to be. Like,
Homie, ain't nobody giving $10 for a little. $10 million for a love tap. Okay, don't try to find a
you
loophole.
didn't say that in the question.
Don't try
I
to
don't know
find
the
a
intensity
loophole.
of the hit, okay? This is my loophole. I'm a behavior analyst. You didn't describe the intensity of the behavior.
I mean, you're gonna get hit hard, but it's gonna be worth
That was
it.
your choice then.
It's gonna be worth it.
Michelle, no one who's giving out $10 million in their right mind would say you can love tap. Don't try to find a loophole, 13-year-old high school kid.
It's gonna hurt,
We
but
can just use some of the money to fix my face.
yeah, exactly. You know how many ice packs I can buy with $10 million?
We're gonna go to the hospital after. They're gonna be like, "What happened?" I'm like, "I want."
I got $10 million.
I'm
That's
gonna
what
be like,
happened.
"Well, he wanted to look like Owen Wilson," and yeah.
He wanted
Andre's
to
already
look like-
gone to the hospital looking like Owen Wilson,
That's true.
Now his nose wasn't messed up as his eye.
man.
Yeah.
You're looking like Scar for a couple weeks. You don't look like Scar anymore.
I mean, the scar is definitely still there.
It's gotten better.
And I mean, all 3 scars that I acquired.
It's gotten a lot better.
Andre looks hard as fuck over here.
Yes, man.
Actually, I hate it every time I see the one right here, but under his eye, bugs me.
Yeah. The one
I
under
hate it.
My dark
See,
spot.
more of a reason to punch the shit out of him.
Dang.
I'm gonna fix
Give me
it.
a second scar.
Skin.
So anyway,
Reconstructive surgery will be fine.
I think we found that we're all fine with punching each other in the face, and sounds like we're getting some money, which is good because I need to buy some more
Only
podcast
35
equipment.
million. We could have had 40, Louise.
35 million.
My favorite part is we're pooling our money now.
You know what?
Yeah, let's buy a couple houses
honestly,
together.
I'm pretty sure you already owe me like, well, how much was
It's
it?
only $10,000.
10,000. I'm fine
easy.
now.
Yeah, it was 10,000.
I have enough money to pay you back. And honestly, I honestly feel like our listeners are going to agree with us on this one. I really hope so.
And if you're not married, you're gonna punch your mom.
Nah, y'all suck. Y'all suck.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
punch my mom.
Okay,
Mhm. No, I'm
I
just
I never said married. I said significant other.
Significant other.
If you're not legally married, and you have a partner, then this applies.
Oh, I just lay out my side chick, and then we got $10 million coming on the way. You don't have to get punched.
You got a side chick? Yeah,
I
right.
don't know what.
If you don't have a significant other, you have to punch your mom.
He doesn't have a side chick.
I don't
Her
know.
name is Manuela.
All right,
That's
Luke.
disgusting.
Okay, moving on.
That's gross. Moving on.
Manuela's the
Took
homie.
it too far. I'm not surprised that we took it too far.
All right, you guys. We want to know if you would punch your significant other in the face for millions of dollars. Let us know in the comments on Instagram under the Louis Asked a Question post.
See, you made it too high. You should have been like for 10 grand. Like for 10 million, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
You should have been like for $500. Would you punch him? And I probably still would. I don't know.
I don't know, 500. That's
know,
not getting you no reconstructive nothing.
Yeah,
Right.
guys. So my price quote was pretty decent because
Yeah, that's what made it easy.
you got to think about insurance doesn't cover plastic surgery nowadays.
And he did just tell me that, if I was gonna cash in for insurance, I'd have to be dismembered.
Oh,
I never said that.
Yes, you did when we were over here trying to fix his freaking
No, you were
equipment.
asking me if that could happen, and I said no.
Just so everyone knows, insurance company's not listening. I was trying to fix the equipment before this
Whoa.
started, and we had to unplug everything so it didn't get electrocuted. But I was saying, if I did get electrocuted, would I be able to,
just use some
get a
insurance money.
payday?
And apparently not. Apparently they don't cover any of that kind of stuff.
Also, I'm saying the only way
That's how we're getting new equipment. Electrocute Emily is fine.
The only way I'm purposefully getting electrocuted is if I'm able to gain the powers to tap into the Speed Force. If not, I'm never gonna get electrocuted.
This one or the other.
Moving the fuck along. Let's talk about something completely not fast.
Luis is never gonna fix any sockets unless they give him superpowers. All right. Speaking of superpowers, the hero of this movie has none. We're talking about the 2021 Black Widow, and despite her not having any superpowers,
And not being dead.
She also doesn't have a uterus.
Or not having
I'm sorry.
You're not sorry though.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
I learned that in this movie. I mean, yeah.
No, you know they like.
Yeah.
I knew that, but I really learned it in this movie.
That was from Age of Ultron when she revealed that
She was sterile.
She's sterile.
Yeah, but they didn't say how.
The
In
red room.
this one, they said they took
They
her whole uterus
sterilized it.
out.
Yeah.
Okay, I kind of want to give my first impression.
Go for it.
I really enjoyed the lady banter. Like, between the two of them, the banter was great. I really thoroughly enjoyed her sister. At first, I thought it was going to be so dark because of, like, the opening credits.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this is going to be dark.
Yeah,
I'm going to
shit
be
was kind of scary at
depressed.
first.
And thank goodness it wasn't super dark. You know what I mean? It was funny. It was good. My one qualm is always people fighting in the air, in the sky. Like, just calm down.
You don't want people to fight in the air?
If they're not Legolas, they need to get on the fuck
It
ground.
doesn't make sense. And I think there was another movie we watched after this where the same shit was happening. They were falling from the sky and fighting. And I was like, this isn't realistic. Like, I know superhero stuff's not supposed to be realistic. But she's not Iron Man. Like, she's a human. Like,
She's not even,
human man.
She's not even Batman. She ain't got like a cape or nothing like that. She's just falling.
and I didn't like any of the Taskmaster stuff. That was a letdown. But overall, I enjoyed the movie. Okay, Louis, since you said what, you can go next. What's your first
the
impression?
Taskmaster part was probably one of the best things about this movie.
Oh, that was such a
I
letdown.
honestly would not have liked it if Taskmaster wasn't in it.
Really?
Yeah.
I completely disagree.
The only reason why is because at that point you got a fucking James Bond movie. Like, what the fuck?
Well,
it's
I
not
mean,
Marvel.
Sure.
Well,
Okay, I'll do my first impression.
You need to have some type of
But did
enhanced being that is your rival, or else it's not Marvel.
but did you like it?
It was okay. Like I said, this was the only reason why it was okay to me.
Okay.
Was because of Taskmaster and you know, Lexi. But you take Taskmaster out, what do you need Alexi for?
Well, he didn't even fight the Taskmaster.
Yeah, he did.
He did it at
3
one point.
seconds?
Yeah.
Not very long.
Not for a very long time.
All right, Emily, first impression.
It was a movie, y'all.
It was a movie.
And it was like my least favorite Marvel movie out there, minus Dark World.
I was gonna say, Emily, what about Dark
Oh
World?
no. I mean,
No.
I don't even think we have to.
The second Hulk is
That's
worse.
Dark World.
No,
Oh,
no,
the
that's
second
second
Thor.
Thor.
Is worse than the second Thor.
Oh well.
We'll
And, it's so,
we'll
and
see.
I hate saying this because I freaking love what's his name, Edward Norton. I love him, but man, that
in
movie
The
was
Incredible
rough.
Hulk?
Yeah.
Well,
So there
we'll
was
talk about
like
that.
good parts of this movie, don't get me wrong, but overall I was like I didn't have expectations because I didn't know what was going to happen, and I was just like let down after let down after I just wasn't happy with it.
Sure.
I feel like the time period was wrong.
I was so pissed at that.
What I wanted from it was like in the wrong part of the MCU and her backstory. I feel like there were plot holes to me that they could have fixed really easily by just shifting the time.
Right. To move it to a different place.
And I don't know. I wasn't hugely fond of the way they did it.
I agree with you only because I thought we were gonna go back in time, like when she was in Budapest with the arrow.
Hell yeah.
Right.
With the arrow, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hawkeye.
And then when it said the time period, like that it came, like after the opening, I looked at Andre and I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, it takes place right before Infinity.
In like a freaking
And I was like,
1 year period.
Yeah.
Oh, like
In between.
I didn't know that. Apparently Andre did.
No.
Civil War and Infinity War.
No, I
That's
wasn't-
the part I say I agree. Me and Ems looked at each other like, what the fuck?
I definitely thought it was going to be the Budapest like area.
I wish
Right.
it was.
You know, here's the deal
because
though.
the entire storyline could have fit there.
Yeah, I could have.
If another timeline where it could have fit was in between Infinity Wars.
in between Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah.
Because there was 5 whole years where she was unsnapped.
And she was in
Yeah.
there just freaking fucking.
They could have been pretty much before, like when she was, snapped or not snapped, but when she lost her mind because of whatever happened. Her losing her mind came after Black Widow movie. In my mind, would have been better than where it was placed, because to me it's like half the world is gone, it's into chaos, and then you have people trying to come up and create more chaos. And
right.
she's trying to stop it. It would have been better that way if you ask me.
Yeah.
Then right before Infinity War, I was just like,
Yeah. So first impression from me, I like this movie overall, but yeah, it's not anywhere near, like, if there's 23 Marvel movies, it is in that bottom 15. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for
so
sure.
It's a very middle of the road Marvel movie. But that being said, I liked a lot of stuff about it. I liked all the performances, especially the sister.
The sister
Yelena.
was hot. She was so good.
She was the best part of it.
It
felt like a her movie and not a Black Widow
That's
movie.
the thing, is as a movie that serves Scarlett Johansson as the Black Widow in her first solo outing, this movie kind of fails. But as a movie that sets up young Yelena as the new Black Widow, it does a pretty good job. So,
well, and before you move on, that's one of the things I was thinking, like, especially after watching Winter Soldier, Captain America, whatever.
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Thank you. I can never say it. After watching that, I'm like, Yelena could have had her own show.
Yeah.
Like, this could have been a Black
It could have
Widow
been a show, yeah.
Because then it could have filled in those plot holes.
Mm-hmm.
It could have, like, totally set her up to be with this blue-haired bitch or purple-haired, whatever her name is.
Yeah.
And because that, like, is, like, starting a whole new saga. But same, I was like, oh, so Yelena's gonna be legit in this new, phase or what have you, but...
I think my biggest gripe with this movie is, like you guys said, the timeline aspect of it. Like, this movie should have come out after Captain America Civil War.
For sure.
Like, it just, like, I don't understand why.
should or shouldn't?
No, it should have come out right after that movie.
But didn't it?
It did not. It came out now,
it came out
after
now.
all
It
these
came
other
out today.
movies.
Oh,
You know what I'm
okay,
saying?
okay.
Like, it takes place right after that movie.
You're talking
Well,
about
and
production.
Okay,
It should have been.
production, not universe.
But
And for me, thinking of this phase being done, and then you threw this out the end of it, like, I already had my closure after Endgame, and now you're bringing it back a little bit, where I was like, oh.
well, that's the thing. Is
I
that
already had closure with this phase.
so Black Widow, as a character, from what we've seen of her, she dies, right? She dies at the end of Endgame.
Which we know. It's weird knowing that and watching this.
Exactly. So for this movie, it either should have, like, been her funeral, basically, her send off, her last outing, and she should have, like, saved the whole world or whatever. But that's not really what this movie did. It was kind of like if this movie had come out right before Infinity War, and then you see her in Infinity War and she's blonde and she's got this vest on, it's like, all right, yeah, look, she got the vest from her
Yeah, who
sister.
gives a shit about the vest at that point?
Like,
Like,
holy
now I have
moly.
to go back and care about the vest.
She wasn't even wearing the vest when she died in Endgame. Like, who cares? It's so weird that this was, like, pushed back so far that timeline wise it just kind of doesn't.
They should
make
have
any
just pushed
sense.
it back farther, because when they were in Budapest, and I think she makes the comment of, like, the arrow holes in the wall, I was like, here we go,
Yeah.
Right.
we're gonna know what happened.
I thought there was
in
gonna be a
Budapest. And then we didn't
flashback.
get anything. And I was like, no.
And they made that the entire MCU with the two of them, Barton and
we want to know what happened.
like
Natasha.
they made it so covert, like the explanations of what happened. That I think that's, like, a really cool, like, area that we all kind of wanted to know, like, what the fuck happened there. And then same, like, you see the arrow holes and you're like, okay, so he was here, she was here. They literally could have made the whole movie about
tell
that.
me
Right.
what happened.
Like,
And not just like, we killed a girl. Like, that's nice.
and this movie's so interesting because it starts off as a flashback, right?
Yep.
You see young Natasha.
I like
and she's
that
with her
part.
family,
That was cool.
and it's actually a really cool scene.
I really liked
They have
it.
to escape America and go back to Russia, and he stole the thing from the place, and they burned it down or whatever.
Bitches up in here in Cuba. That was
He's
cool.
got super soldier strength. He's tossing stuff out of the air. He's hopping on the side of the
liked
airplane.
all that.
It was
That was
really cool. It was dope. And then she and her sister get like human trafficked across the world or whatever. And it's like,
Yeah,
okay,
it's crazy.
we're gonna see all kinds of Red Room stuff.
Oh, that's my other problem, dude. I want more Red Room.
I
Like,
know.
you're talking about how bad it is. I'm not saying I want like doom and gloom all the time, but like
I thought that's where we were going.
that
though.
whole opening scene was so like not with the Alexi and the mom and everything, but like
the credits,
the
the
credit
opening
scene.
credits.
Oh my god,
Right.
I was getting some major feels.
And the song, what was the song
It
that
smells
was
like
playing?
Teen Spirit
Yeah.
in the
There
sad,
was like
sad
a
version.
crazy song playing during
No,
that
it
too.
smells like Teen
Smells
Spirit.
like Teen Spirit. Nirvana.
Exactly.
And I was like, oh Jesus, what's
So
happening?
anywho, like that's what my hope was at that moment, was
Right.
like, let's see what this Red Room looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, like in the flashback, I think it was in Civil War, she was like a ballerina. She was
right.
like always like locked in this area. But we saw like 1 second of the Red Room, and I was like, well, they're literally fight training. Great. So
Yeah.
they're little winter soldiers.
They were doing little
Fantastic.
dances. They were stepping in there.
So cool. I'm really glad that was not.
Here's my problem with the whole thing of spies and all that stuff. Like, historically, they made it seem like it was still the Cold War. Cold War had ended. 89.
Right. I mean, yeah.
Why are we still on the trip of having Russian spies? Like,
Move it back.
I wasn't move this up, but you can't really move it back.
You can't move it back. I mean,
they
Black
should be
Widow's
what,
supposed to be
in her-
like 28 years old or something like that,
Yeah.
32, 35 at the tops.
What, she'd be in her dad's nutsack at that time?
Right, yeah.
What kind of movie is that? Just floating in there with all her other 12 billion potential.
yeah,
Maybe that's the
siblings.
thing. Maybe like they were still hung up on it. Like, her dad was, or I guess it's not really her dad, but
Now, if they would have been kind of a little bit more clear as to a Hydra slash
Yeah, we were expecting that too.
shield thing, that would have been a better explanation.
Well, I
than
guess they explained
Soviet
it.
implanted, spy in '95, and then no, fuck that.
I
Cold
guess
War's
they
over.
explained it at the end that the main bad guy, what was his name? Dreykov. He just wanted to be prepared for whatever.
But that
I
bothered
guess.
me. I was like, so you've got all this control over all of these governments, and I mean, they use that a lot, that trope, like, we can topple governments and like blah blah blah. Okay, for what purpose? Like, what's your purpose, dude?
Like,
He
what's
just
the
wants to have a big dick.
the end
Honestly,
goal,
he's
I
just
guess?
like, I'm powerful.
I mean, his role in this movie is basically like, I am the patriarchy, right? And I control these young women, and I
he's a
make them
creep.
do whatever I want, and I got smelly smells that make them so they can't hurt me and
He
stuff
was
like
creeping
that.
me. Like, he was creeping
Oh no, he's totally
me out.
creepy. But like,
dude.
what is the point of your domination? Like Thanos, we
I
knew.
know.
Right.
Freaking Loki, we knew.
Zemo, we knew.
Yeah,
He
Thanos
just
was
wants.
a philanthropist, just trying to make the universe better.
He just
like-
wants to. I don't know.
I don't like that. Like, I want him to be like, even if it's as stupid as like, aliens are coming and the widows are ready, like,
Right.
or whatever.
Or like, I'm preparing the widows. I just need like 200
No,
more
I'm
widows,
telling
and then
you.
I'll be able to take over America.
No,
or
I'm
whatever.
telling you, he has big dick syndrome. He just wants to have control.
Like, if he's trying to
over
be Hitler,
these
like,
women.
I hate these Americans, I'm going in for them. They made us lose
No.
the Cold War, let's do it,
He's just a man.
Yeah, I mean, he plays a pretty diminished role, and I think that's where my problems with like the Taskmaster character come in.
I didn't like that at all.
So Taskmaster in the comics is a villain. He's normally like a mercenary type of character that will be hired by some bigger villain to fight with the Avengers or whoever's going
And
to
he
try to stop him.
photocopies, right? Like
Right.
how it is in
That's
the movie.
the thing is he whatever types of fighting styles he sees, he can copy directly. So if he sees Spider-Man swinging, he can do that. If he sees Captain America throw a shield, he can do that. And
Which I feel like we could have gotten more of.
right. So the first scene with Taskmaster in this movie is actually really cool. She blows Natasha off a bridge or whatever, and then they start fighting, and Natasha realizes that Taskmaster is there for the serum thing that she's carrying, and they start fighting. So you see the copying moves because they both like do the hop up at the same time and do the same pose that Yelena makes fun of later.
Oh, I love it. It's so
which
funny.
is hilarious.
You poser.
You're a poser. But and then they fight, and then they kind of separate. They go their separate ways. And throughout the rest of the movie, we Taskmaster gets revealed as the daughter of Dreykov, who Natasha thought that she killed back in the Budapest days, and turns out she didn't kill her, didn't kill Dreykov. They're both still alive, and Dreykov has transformed her into this Taskmaster robot, basically. Like,
I didn't like that at all. I thought that was so lame.
so the thing
I couldn't figure out, is she like...
I thought it was a guy the whole time. Even when I saw it in the park, so we would play it on the villains game, they make it seem like it's a dude, and I was
I knew it was going to be a girl in this movie
did?
only because it was the chick world.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I'm like, when it reveals it's a chick, but maybe it's a widow gone rogue, or maybe
Right.
it's...
I thought it was.
See, I didn't think that at all.
I was of the same mind.
Then I
Like,
thought maybe he was a robot.
I was sure that Taskmaster was going to be revealed as a woman. I just wasn't sure who it was going to be. I thought it was going to be
The
the
mom.
mom
Yeah.
character. I thought it was going to be Rachel Weisz, who
Melina.
yeah,
She
who
was
had
cool.
been like playing both sides this entire time and was using a Taskmaster persona
Yeah.
to gain her own levels or whatever.
She was the twin in Constantine.
Yeah, she was. Oh my god, we were
Rachel
trying to
Weisz?
figure out who she was the whole time.
God.
But I guess here's my question to you guys. Why does any of that bother you with Taskmaster? If you had no expectations for Taskmaster, then
I
why
think-
is it bugging
No, I
you?
think
No,
what
I
they
think
did
I
with her was
did.
stupid.
I think I did have an expectation. I thought it was what it was.
Then wasn't it?
No, that's not what I thought it was. I
But,
thought
like,
it was a dude, like a robot or something.
So you were just
I was
disappointed he was a
confused.
female then?
No, I was confused. I didn't know that was the origin. Like from what Andre had told me.
Well, it obviously isn't. They
Taskmaster
did it for
is this
the
thing. So then that's what I was thinking, and so then I was very confused.
I just didn't like her. So is she like conscious
Yeah.
of what she's doing?
Yeah.
I guess so.
Is she like, and I don't want to be disrespectful, but like they make her seem like deaf and mute
Yeah.
Right.
and like unable to communicate.
Well, because he's controlling her.
Which I get that, like, so he's controlling her,
With the
and then he
chips.
can make people like kill themselves or whatever. But I just feel like that was also very like bleh.
Like her origin of how she became the Taskmaster is kind of not there, right? I think
Is that why you're
I almost-
disappointed?
my biggest disappointment with it is that there's no character to her at all.
Yes, thank
like,
you.
Like even not
She's in the suit.
even not comic book
just
stuff
there.
withstanding. I mean, she could have been talking. She could have been doing. She could have had her own agendas. She could have tried to usurp Dreykov on her own and get out from under his thumb. In
Yeah,
some
I would
way.
have loved her.
You
Like,
know?
let's go kill this.
Like
and then
there was just like nothing there. She was like a glorified bodyguard. She
They
kinda-
didn't do
she kind
anything
of-
after the
She
reveal
kind of
either.
reminded me of Deadpool in the Wolverine Origins movie, where like there's no mouth
good God.
and it's just like I'm here to kill, and there's nothing of any substance to that character anymore, just because the big bad
Yeah.
guys got complete control over them.
Going off of that, I also needed an origin with the serum, the mind control thing. Like they didn't explain how it worked.
Like, hey, I got
kept
these pigs.
thinking,
No
maybe-
breathing.
You remember how Loki was
So
controlling Barton at one point with the
Mind Stone.
I was like, well, maybe he got the Mind Stone and he got some of the stuff from a Hydra or something like that, but they didn't really explain that.
Yeah.
just expecting us to like be cool with chemical reactions, which again I'm cool with if they had been able to.
Good
Like I
job,
thought the whole pig
scientists.
part was kind of like, I get what you're trying to do with it, but it didn't play in very well.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. I think there's some plot problems with this script, and I think it being delayed in past Civil War, past Infinity War, past Endgame, and then through 2020, it just
Does it feel almost like they're just like, let's just do it?
just do it, just get it
go.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, like she did, so we got to get it out now.
Which
Right.
is like, I get it, but I still think what I was expecting of this Black Widow movie was like in the past, you know, so I
Right.
didn't get that, so I was a little disappointed. But it's not to say I didn't like the movie. Like, I did like it, and I want to watch it again because I think I'm going to like watching Alexi again and like Yelena or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, they were all very good and had really good performances. But Scarlett Johansson didn't really.
That,
you know?
So that's the thing, is that the star of this movie is this little faux spy family that Natasha has kind of created, or that she was involuntarily a part of.
Yeah.
So for 3 years, when she was like 12 or 13, they infiltrated America and were undercover, pretending to be a regular American family, and that
To get something.
to do secret spy stuff, and that
Thank you.
Helped create the relationship between all four of them. Alexei, the dad, the Red Guardian, Yelena, the mom Black Widow, Natasha, and then Yelena, the young Black Widow. So
also, I like seeing Natasha as a total tomboy because I could picture that. I was like, yeah, that's her.
That girl who played her is actually Mila Jovovich's daughter. Mila Jovovich.
I thought so.
Is the main girl from Resident Evil
this
movies.
This girl looks like a little Resident Evil girl.
Yes, exactly. So that was some good casting right there. And so yeah, that part of it, their family dynamic.
I love that whole beginning
of them being a fake family. They all get separated, and then years later, they all have to come back together to solve the problems of this movie. Is cool, and their dynamic, especially Alexei, like he's the funniest part of this whole movie.
God.
Followed very closely behind by Yelena.
I remember you asking us like, was he funny? And we were like,
He's
hilarious. I was like, I don't want to ruin it, but like he's some of the best part of the movie.
Well, and it's funny
he's pretty
too,
much
because
troped after Hopper in season 3.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
We love Stranger Things.
Yeah.
We love him in that. And it's funny because, not that all of our listeners will know this, but not so much in this role because of that frickin' beard, but
oh my god,
especially
the tattoos.
Especially when he plays Hopper in Stranger Things, he reminds me 100% of one of our friends' husbands. He reminds me of Richie.
Oh,
like
that's hilarious.
Like,
oh my god,
dude, Alexei is Richie with a frickin' beard and accent.
Wow, he kind of is.
Which is really funny because this
That's
friend
hilarious.
of ours is freaking hilarious.
Yeah, he is.
And he's always
Shout
got
out to
jokes.
Richie.
So I'm watching this and I'm like, fucking Richie's the Red Guardian.
Dude, Richie totally is the Red Guardian.
So this dude is so funny, and like, so we see him in the beginning.
I love that actor so
and he's
much.
a super secret spy. He's got his big old Ted Bundy glasses on from the 80s or whatever.
Dude, and I love seeing him be a super soldier.
He's doing
like
cool
in that
stuff.
scene, I was like, oh shit, he's a super soldier.
He's taking out dudes with this sniper rifle on the back of a plane, on the
and he's
on the
so
wing of the
excited.
plane.
He's like,
He's
ah!
fighting. He's like, oh, I can't wait to get back into the action. Put me back in my suit. And then the next time we see him, he's in prison. It's 20 years later. And he's like, you guys weren't even there when I was fighting Captain America. It was so cool. And the guy's like, wasn't Captain America still frozen in the 80s? Like, whatever, dude. I love Alexis
He's just like
so
breaking
much.
dudes' arms in there.
Yes.
Which, you know what though? Then you start to wonder, super serum, soldier, how, if the only ones who ever had it were the Americans, but then it's tied
Hydra
because,
stole it.
again, because Bucky stole those foreign from there, I presume Alexei came about.
You can kind of see the path of,
because
the,
91,
of the super soldier
95,
serum.
you're like, he could have been the super soldier
Yeah.
in 93.
Right,
Absolutely,
exactly.
Okay, I
absolutely.
like that.
You can kind of see the path of the super soldier serum. And
There's super soldiers out there we don't know about. We're learning that now from Falcon and
Hell
things
yeah.
like that.
Exactly. And the cool thing about that is that, like, we just watched Captain America, right, for our movie last week, and in that we saw like the super soldier serum in its most perfect form, right?
Pure.
He gets injected with like 17 vials
Into
and
the most pure dude
They hit him
possible.
with the rays, and yeah, he's the coolest dude on earth. And so you see it in all of these other people, like Alexei, where like 20 years later he's fat, he's got a big old beard, he's kind of jumping up stuff, he's kind of throwing dudes around.
Very much like that.
He's agile, but he's also old and fat,
Yeah,
which is so funny.
like, move your ass.
Because they said, and I really actually like that we watched Captain America again because it helped me more. Like, why aren't they like Cap? They said it brings out whatever that part in you is, and I'm like, yeah, Alexi's a dick. That's why he's like that, you know? Like, it brings out whatever that trait is in you.
It's very
you know?
funny when he's reunited with Natasha and Yelena. He's like,
My daughter.
my girls, I'm so proud of you. You've both killed so many people. Your ledgers must be dripping red. I'm so proud of you.
They're both like, fuck you, dude. I hate you.
Like, get away from me.
But them
You smell
saving
bad.
him was a really good scene too.
Oh, that was
in
an
the
awesome
prison.
scene.
Cool scene. The avalanche happens. Yelena's like, oh, this would be such a cool way to die.
Because she's like still in the game, really.
Right.
You know? So she's like, I could die now. This would be great. I'll die in an avalanche. This is awesome.
Yeah.
You know? But also they're trained to be able to just be like, well, let's die.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean,
that's why Natasha did what she did in Endgame. She was like, Barton, get your ass over there. I'm jumping off this cliff. Like,
you got 3 kids, dog. Bye.
yeah. Peace out.
So yeah, I think overall this movie it's its problems stem from kind of trying to fit it into the MCU, and I think this is kind of one of the cases where maybe some detachment from the bigger MCU and tying everything in so closely would have been beneficial for this type of movie. Like either we go back and show us all the Budapest stuff that we want to see.
I just needed a flashback or something. Just put Barton in it. Let me see what happened. I'm done of hearing them talk about it. Y'all talk about it so much. I just want to see it with my own eyes.
My own eyes.
But maybe it'll be in the Hawkeye show, is what I think. But
right.
There's a Hawkeye show coming?
Yes, so there is a Hawkeye show coming. So
I'm assuming Yelena's going to be all up in that.
Yeah, so spoilers for the end of this movie, right?
You guys waited till the after credit scene, right?
Well, of course.
Post-credit scene is...
In Captain America, we were sitting there waiting for shit.
I was mad in the theater. I was like, fuck this
Allegra De Fontaine, DiMaggio, or whatever her name is. She comes in, she tells Yelena, hey, guess what, new Black Widow? We got the guy who is responsible for Natasha's death, and it's Hawkeye.
Which is so stupid.
Which is silly.
I had this argument with them is like, who the heck snitched?
Right.
Like the only ones who were five people. Who spilled the beans?
The funny thing about the MCU, like they kind of go through it in this movie too, where Yelena's like, I'm not on the cover of magazines. Little girls don't look up to me. Like I kind of don't understand how much the regular world knows about everything that the Avengers do. You know, like like Infinity War happens in like 18 hours or something like that, you know? When Thanos comes, his ship comes to Earth, they take over, they fly back out, they fight up there, he comes back, he snaps, half everybody's dead.
Yeah.
And in somewhere in that 5 years, everybody found out exactly who he was, exactly what happened, exactly how he thinks, and who in the Avengers are around and how they saved everybody and stuff like that. So I mean...
But we know from, was it Civil War? We know from one of those movies that, like, everyone kind of hated them. Yeah. But then they like them. But then they hate them. But then they like them. So you have to assume that the details aren't out there.
Yeah. And also, Nick Fury knew everything. So I'm assuming this Fontaine bitch is going to know everything.
Right. Too. I think she knows because of super secret spy stuff, I guess.
I mean, that's one thing. Here's the deal.
Iron Man's a snitch, I bet.
That's one thing I'm not willing... Well,
right before he died, he told him.
That's one thing I'm not willing to buy. Nick Fury fight... No. There was five people in the fucking room.
But maybe Barton said what happened. Maybe he was like, it was me. I don't know. To everybody. Maybe he was like, it was me and the Black Widow, and she jumped off a cliff. And they're like, you're a murderer. I don't know.
After he had murdered everybody in Japan or whatever, he had gone through with his sword.
Which was the best thing.
He did go through that really bad phase, so maybe they're just like, dude, Hawkeye's gotta go.
Like, here's the deal. You should have done a movie on Hawkeye doing his vengeful shit.
That's what the show's gonna be about.
Well, that's what you say, but what if it comes out where it's like...
I thought the show was supposed to be about his mohawk face.
I think the show is taking place post-Endgame. Oh. He's come back, he's hanging out with his family, and Yelena's going to be after him, and I think he's also training a new protege to take over as Hawkeye.
That's lame. I thought we were going to see him busting up some...
I mean, we still might. I'm not sure. They haven't released like a full trailer for that show.
That pisses me off. Let's move along from that, because I'm just going to get mad.
Yeah. Okay, so... throughout the rest of the movie, there's this plot. So all the Black Widows are being mind controlled by Dreykov. So Natasha and Yelena have to get this serum back to the Red Room so they can kill Dreykov, free all the widows, and
the widows were creeping me out,
and destroy the Red Room once and for all. Which is interesting. I thought there was going to be a lot more Black Widow versus Black Widows fighting. Yeah. You know, there's basically only like two or three scenes where one other super spy is coming after them, and Natasha just kicks the shit out of them.
I don't like calling them Black Widows. I think I didn't know that. I just thought her name was Black Widow. And then when they were calling all of the other girls widows, I was like, oh. Right. Like, I didn't know that. Yeah. Did you guys know that? Just a me problem? Yeah.
I realized that after Yelena was on screen. That
talking about the widows. And I was like, oh. I thought that they were just super spies and he sold them off to different people or whatever, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is that, Dreykov owns the widows and the widows work for him, right? And so they do spy shit all over the world, Mission Impossible style. And when Natasha thought that she had ended the Red Room when she was younger, and killed him and took it all out, then it just got even more secret, super secret, and super covert. So even she wasn't aware of it happening. Which
they didn't really explain how he's still alive.
They didn't explain almost any.
I saw that building get blown up. So how is the daughter all messed up and he's fine?
She walked in. She's like, "All right." He and his little girl are in the building, blow up the building, boom. And then we see him and he's like, "Hey, what's up?"
Yeah, he wasn't even messed up.
Because he has $10 million for a facial removal.
Yeah, dude, he's punching everybody in the face.
He's like, "No, bitch, you under my control now. Bye."
Yeah, she pulled the trigger on that, and yeah, they don't really explain how.
Who made the call for her to pull the trigger? Who said like pull it?
So I think that was supposed to be Hawkeye. On the other end of the line, yeah.
But I don't think he knew the daughter was there, right? Or did he? They were just like, it's collateral, whatever.
Yeah, I think that was Natasha's
because
decision.
of how awful he was.
To collateral it up, you know?
And they were young, so.
Yeah, I guess so. She's supposed to be like...
Cap would have been like, what the fuck, you guys?
Well, I mean, yeah, she's already a trained killer at this point or whatever.
I know.
Well, who cares about little girl?
Yeah, little girl. They die in Russia all the time, you know?
I love that scene in, is it Avengers, where Loki's locked up and he's like chewing out Natasha.
Yes.
He was like, da-da-da, and she's like, oh. And she's like fake crying. Yeah. She's done a lot of bad shit.
In that movie.
And she's like, I don't care.
In that movie is where they first mentioned Dreykov's daughter. Like, that's what Loki says to Natasha.
Do you guys watch the, what's that thing called? Where you watch like the little synopsis
we haven't
of them?
watched it yet.
Oh, like Marvel Legends?
Watch the one on Black Widow, because that one helped a lot. I watched it after I saw the movie like an idiot. But it helped a lot. I was like, oh, they're already talking about Dreykov's daughter. Because he's like, you killed a little girl or something. Like Loki's chewing her out. And I was like, oh, they really went back there, didn't they?
Yeah. That's the interesting thing about Natasha and I guess Hawkeye's characters is that since they haven't had their own movies, their backstories have just been splintered through each of the other movies that they've been in, from Iron Man 2 all the way up to this one. And so by the time they get to this one...
Hawkeye, he's one of the original 5 Avengers, doesn't have his own movie.
But that's the thing is that they don't want to give us this whole origin story because they think that they've piecemealed it out to us over these past few movies. And in a way that they
23
have.
movies. I don't remember everything.
But like we've been saying, I think it would have been nice to have seen their little de-aged faces fighting in Budapest or whatever for, at least a couple of minutes.
Even the back of her head, I don't even care. It doesn't have to be her face.
Right.
I just wanted to see an arrow flying into the wall or something.
Yeah, let's see how they met
I didn't
for the
even
first
need to
time
see
or
Hawkeye.
whatever,
You could have just shown an arrow, like, I'd have been like, oh, he's here.
Yeah,
I mean, she has that iconic hair. We could have just seen some hair. Well, and that's the other thing. Sorry about it, Disney. You didn't do it well. Every time you see her for like this movie, she's in like the wannabe stormtrooper outfit, right?
Her white.
Yeah, the white
and
one.
her hair is like long and really light colored red.
Light red.
Okay? Whatever. It makes her look so much younger. Like when you see her in the park, when you see her in like promos, she looks not like her face looks younger, but like the hair and everything, it makes her look like a much younger version of her.
Because she always had red hair and now it's been more blonde, right?
Right, which I'm cool with the hair color changes, whatever. I just feel like the way that they portrayed her made her look like just a different version of herself.
I wonder if they were trying to get her to revert back to like how she was.
Well, I think it's also kind of a thing of them setting up them being sisters, right? So their interactions, her and Yelena, they're playing off each other, and it's really fun interactions that they have when they finally get back together or whatever. It's just like, put on your seatbelts. Like, oh, you're such a mom, they're having a lot of fun, like little sister moments, and so maybe making her look a little younger kind of puts you in the mindset of her being the big sister and Yelena being the little sister.
And they have all those sick ass sister braids. They have hair, great hair and makeup in them.
They might as well have been braiding each other's hair at certain points in this movie.
Rapunzel moment.
Yelena made the movie. Like I was more into her than watching ScarJo.
For sure, I think she's the most powerful performance in this movie, and like watching them all be at like the dinner table when they. All 4 of them go to Melina's house or whatever, and she's like, guys, it was real to me. Don't say it wasn't real. You guys are my family. You're my mom. You're my dad. You're my sister. And she starts like crying. I was like, oh my god.
It was real for her because she was 3.
Right, exactly. She was super young.
I hate to say it this way, but as a 3-year-old, you can completely remake a
And she's
3-year-old's
like,
life.
that's probably like the only thing from keeping her going insane is that she's like,
For
oh,
sure.
I had a family
It's the only
one time.
family she ever knew, you know?
Like,
That was so sad, but also compelling.
yes.
You know?
It was
dude, when
good character
freaking
stuff.
Melina was like doing the thing to the pig, I was like, oh, she's crazy.
Right.
I was like, oh shit.
I won't lie to you. That's, I think, the one character I didn't need more of. Like,
Right.
Mom was
She was
just
crazy.
Well, she was, but like she also then turned good like within 5 seconds.
Yeah, so that's another big like
I didn't need her.
plot thing that was weird to me. So we see them
The face swap thing.
Yeah, we see them go to her house. They talk with her, and then the other widows and Dreykov show up and like, hey, you're all under arrest or whatever. They start shooting blow darts in the Red Guardian's chest, which is funny. But
Reminded me of Maui.
He's like,
yeah, you think one of these gonna? I was like, oh, okay, that was funny. So we go from there.
He's Fat Thor, okay?
Yeah. We go from there to them like flying up to the Red Room or whatever, and then Natasha's being interrogated by Dreykov, and then it's a reveal that like, no, it wasn't Natasha, it was Melina this whole time. And
Yeah, so the mind loophole with that really bugged me is that Natasha knew where to fly up to the Red Room. I'm like, did this bitch just tell her in like 4 seconds? So this is where the Red Room is.
Yeah, I guess
I was
so.
like, that was a loophole. She just flying
She
there.
could have been like, you know, the airplane has autopilot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just press it, do this.
Autopilot that not to
And
get
it
to
will
the
take
Red
you to
Room,
the
right?
destination.
my big thing with it was that like, so Melina has been like working directly with Dreykov to help control all of these girls from all over the world that they've human trafficked over the past 20 years or whatever. And she's just like, yeah, cool, I'll give you all the tech you need to control these ladies. And then Natasha shows up and is like, hey, you want to stop doing that? And she's like, yeah, that's probably a good idea. I guess we'll just stop and be redeemed for saving everybody. Even
Only
though
thing I
I'm
can
directly
think-
responsible for all of them being kidnapped and
I
gun
liked
controlled.
her at the
I'm an
beginning.
evil bitch, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna move
I
around
mean,
for a
I
second.
liked her at the beginning. I thought she was the soft one, you know.
Oh,
'cause
for sure.
When
Cool mom.
what's his face was like, we have to go back, and she was like, do we have to go back now?
Right, I don't wanna
So
go
that's
back.
why when I saw her like that, I was like, oh.
And she like saves the book of memories or whatever.
Yeah,
And
like they needed. She needed to be a little bit softer, like
Yeah.
in that scene with the pigs and whatever, and her talking.
Right.
She wasn't soft enough. Like it needed a little bit more
You-
for me to believe that she actually.
But she's Russian. You don't expect that from a Russian, so
Yeah.
she played it.
Well, then why is she
completely perfect.
trying to play like the mom role after that? I just felt like
Yeah.
it wasn't a good transition.
You guys
Elena's
are gonna be
Russian and
fine.
she's soft a little bit.
Well, I mean,
You gotta
know,
dig under those onion layers, okay?
yeah.
You guys argue about how like she's the one who caused all this, then she's wanting to fix it. I mean, look at Yondu. Yondu took all those kids to
Yeah, but I
Okay.
Ego,
felt
and then
Yondu,
he
I didn't
still
feel her.
needed his redemption moment. This was hers. I
Right.
mean,
So I think the difference there is
They
that
didn't set it up.
Yondu's redemption moment is really good. It's really big. He gets to come
Oh,
in
Mary Poppins, y'all!
and save the day as Mary Poppins. And I think Melina's like turn from like, hey, I'm wearing a mask and I'm on the good side now. I think it's just a little less impactful.
Lackluster.
Yeah,
I
it's a
mean,
little lackluster.
couldn't she have felt like that?
I mean,
prior to
she
that
could have felt like
dinner?
that over this entire
And
time,
just
over
never
the years
had
or
the
whatever.
courage.
They just didn't really show it. I think is
The
what my
fact that we
problem
have to assume that is the problem.
Right.
I don't like it.
It's like a show don't tell kind of thing. That's something I
I
want
want
to
to
see.
feel something, and this is the thing. Is
She
That's
could
what
have
we're all
died.
that's
She
what
could
we're
have
all
died and I
different.
wouldn't have cared.
Right.
Like, I know that sounds awful, but like, I would.
Nah, I wouldn't have cared.
If like Alexi died, I think we'd all have been
We'd all
sad. But
been
Because
like,
his performance was so
if
good.
mom died, I'd be like,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, and this is
you
the-
weren't that great.
This
so.
is the hard part about Marvel movies is that we're tearing apart a good movie. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, and I'm sorry, but y'all fucking killed it with Infinity War and Endgame. And the first thing, well, not the first thing, because the Spider-Man one was really good.
Sure.
But you put this out, and it's been a year and a half of me of not watching a movie. I'm like, what the heck? You know what I mean? So I'm gonna judge it a little harder.
yeah, I think, like I've said a couple times now, is that like as post Endgame content, this is you know.
I'm actually like really scared for the next phase.
Oh really?
Well,
I'm excited.
I mean,
I'm like,
Shang-Chi
I-
and whatever, I know those movies are going to be legit, but I'm like a little scared for the next Spider-Man movie and the next Ant-Man movie. I'm like, are they going to be good? Like, I don't know.
Well, I'm excited for everything that's coming up in the MCU.
I'm excited because I think for everyone after Endgame, it's like shit. Who's gonna be in these movies now?
Right.
Because you know, half of them are dead or gone or too old or whatever.
Dead and gone.
Yeah, for sure. They Justin Timberlake it.
We can get into new stuff.
But I like the characters that they're setting up now.
Right.
Like with the TV shows, it's like, oh, okay, so
Like Wanda might be my favorite character. now,
right?
You know?
Owen
Which is
Wilson's
crazy.
coming back.
Yeah, let's go.
Like
more low-key
Right.
still, I'm into it.
Wanda's gonna be hot shit.
I'm
I
looking
like,
at the new Vision. That guy's gonna be
dude.
nuts.
He's
Right,
gonna
White
go out there
Vision
and be
is sick.
killing some people.
I hope they give him a name other than White Vision. We sound so racist.
we could call him Vision.
Hey, albino Vision. What up?
Albino, yeah, I like that. That's probably.
Well, we already have the bald eagle. So.
Yeah. I mean, but Falcon, Captain America. I mean, that's a cool character that I'm excited to see more
And
of
Bucky
too.
best be up in that. Okay.
And
Thank
this
you.
this Yelena, like
Shit, Bucky
if
for once.
if she's the new Black Widow on a new Avengers team of some kind,
I'm cool with that.
But I mean, the way that she's
I'm not
set
okay
up,
with the
it
ugly ass
seems-
Cap dude though.
Right, it seems like she's going to be hanging out with John Walker, the U.S.
Hell
agent,
no.
and they're going to be
I'm gonna
fighting.
throw
Are they
up.
looking at the Dark Avengers?
I think so. I think that's kind of what they're setting
What
up
they're looking at.
with Elaine from Seinfeld, is that she's setting up the Dark Avengers.
So it's basically fucking Marvel and DC just flip flopping socks and shit.
Yeah, man.
Like literally
Socks.
Suicide Squad.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of Suicide Squad style.
Well, Suicide Squad sucks. So
I think the interesting part about that, though, is that they're picking characters, and of course, this is a characterization thing they're going for. But like John Walker and Yelena, they both have good hearts, but they just have like these troubled.
They've taken bad paths.
Yeah, either a bad path, or they have like these hard backstories. Not so much John Walker, but like.
I don't give a fuck about John Walker.
No, but he ended up redeeming himself a little bit.
Right,
Yeah.
right
I
at the
thought
end
he
there.
did.
Yeah.
Questionable.
It was pretty.
It's his
He's
face
the
that's
new
the
one
problem.
that I'm gonna hate.
So
okay?
it's
Like,
gonna
I
be
have to have someone to
it's
hate.
going to be interesting to see what kind of leadership this Elaine character brings to them, because
For sure.
she's either going to lead them down the darkest path humanly possible, or she's going to try to do that and they're going to like kind of fight against it.
Or
because
she's gonna
they're
try
kind
to
of
be
good
like
characters.
her sister. I don't know, because she sounded annoyed when that lady found her. She was like, "I'm on vacation.
Right.
Yeah.
Leave me alone."
Yeah. So I'm
Well,
not,
which makes you think she's already working for her in that 5-year or in that however many year period, right?
Exactly.
4 years maybe.
Yeah. Maybe she's risen to the top during the blip, the snap, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Who else is she gonna recruit? You think?
That's a good question. I'm not
White
sure.
Vision?
Yeah. Vision.
So it's gonna be Vision, John Walker.
The Little Black Widow, and
This is the worst named team ever.
Taskmaster. Maybe?
The song
Yeah,
is all
maybe.
the song's all out of tune. The ding 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 ding. It's all.
Or is that like
Double the trombone.
yeah.
that creepy circus music?
Oh, the music box.
No. I'm talking about like the creepy slow circus
Oh,
music.
No, it has to be a little silly because we gotta make fun of it. But
Hey, she might even get what's his name? Soviet dude.
Oh, Red Guardian. That'd be cool.
Um,
That'd be fun. I don't know if they're gonna have like two Captain America dudes on the same
No.
team. But
No. But like, I mean, you gotta have your Tony Stark and Captain America
Sure.
dynamic of hating each other, and what's better to hate than America and Russia?
right. Maybe she'll get a War Machine or some type of person in there. I
We
don't
just
know.
rewatched Civil War because our daughter Adeline is like into everything.
Dude,
right
I
now.
love her so much.
And oh my
No matter how
god.
many times you watch it, that scene is still rough, man.
Dude,
Yeah,
the
it is.
airport scene is the best. One of
Yeah.
the best scenes I think
Yeah.
in the MCU.
And then
For sure.
freaking Brody freaking
Yeah,
getting
man.
knocked off the side.
Non-albino vision. He's
It's what
aiming
happens
all
when you,
wrong. You
and
know?
that's just what you tell Addie. This is what happens when you don't work as a team. That's the lesson. She's like, why are they so mean to each other? I
Because
don't know.
teamwork makes the dream work,
teamwork,
kid.
yeah.
I'm sure she's Team Cap, but you know.
Oh my god. Dude, in our
It
next
is.
crack episode, we're gonna, well, maybe not the one that's gonna release next, but
Yeah.
in our next crack episode, we're gonna talk about the new rides in Disneyland and like Avengers Campus and all that. And I will tell you the good story of Adeline and Captain America. Actually, Adeline and all of her fangirling, okay?
Oh, she
Love her.
was just
She's my
losing
homie.
a little mind out
My
there.
spirit
Huh?
animal.
She's like,
is
Doctor
Addie.
Strange, oh, Thor.
Dude, she's
That's
my.
so cute.
That's
You're gonna
me.
love it.
That's literally me every time I go there.
Same.
Did you guys watch the little Doctor Strange show?
I don't want to talk about it until the crack.
We'll talk about all the
Alright,
Disneyland
well, we're done
stuff.
with this episode.
We'll talk about all the
Did
Disneyland
this make
stuff.
money though?
So that's the thing, is that this movie
That
was...
sucks for them because it's like half the money probably.
Yeah, so
Not as much.
this movie was released on Disney Plus and came out in theaters at the same time. Me and Michelle went to see it in the theater. You guys watched it on Disney Plus?
We premiere accessed it.
Yeah,
You did?
Premiere Access.
Okay, I kind of want to watch it again, so I'm gonna
How
sign
much
into
did you
your
guys
account.
spend in the theater?
So we went. We probably
we bought a bunch of food.
We bought 2 tickets, 2 late night tickets. So it's
How
probably
much?
like
$30.
$30 to see
More-
the movie.
maybe more
And
than
then we
that.
bought snacks and stuff like that. So
I think the tickets are like $14.50 now or $15.50.
That's what we were talking about. Like, not for the experience, obviously, and not for the food, but like the ticket versus Premiere Access is pretty comparable.
It's pretty
Yeah,
comparable.
pretty comparable.
But we kind of have made a decision that the only movies we're going to go to the theater to see are like big Marvel, like
Sure.
blockbusters where we want to see it on a big screen. Although we have a pretty big TV, it's fine. But
They have their wall TV.
Listen, I still love going to the movies, and I'm
Andre
glad that
loves
they've
the
come
movies.
back.
So we've kind
I
of
feel you
made
on
that
that.
like our thing. Like, oh, we're just gonna go when it's those things.
Andre's like, I made no such promise.
He did. He said we're gonna save the movies for the
Yeah,
for the blockbusters, which
same
is
so.
all.
What
to
about the
him.
new Fast and Furious movie?
We
saw
saw
it
that in the
in the
theaters.
theater.
Yeah, we went to the
Oh, you guys
theaters.
saw it
to see
already?
that.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, it was
You don't remember?
It was really good.
Getting all upset when they went without you?
You didn't see. You
Well-
didn't see my Instagram reel.
I'll go again, Lou. Let's go. It's still out in theaters.
Man, I already told you. You got to do a flow chart for me.
Oh yeah, of all the visualization of the timeline of the Fast and Furious movies.
This
yeah,
flow chart.
you're right.
I've got it
Oh,
down.
that's the
I
other
gotta
thing.
break out PowerPoint.
I did want to say this. So, Louis, my mom asked, because she watched this movie with us, she asked a question about like the timeline and how to watch the movies.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, do you watch them by like production date, like release date, or do you watch them based on like timeline?
You
Right.
can't do it either or.
And that's what I told her. Like, it doesn't really matter. You just need all of the context.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day.
I wouldn't do what my mom's doing.
No,
I don't know
don't
why
do it.
she's doing it that way.
Don't go hippy dippy all over the place.
She's what she's doing. She'll be like, I'm gonna watch all the Avengers movies. And I'm like, well, you're missing stuff from the other movies that play into
That
those
happen in
movies.
between those
and she's
movies.
like, it's fine. And then she'll
And
watch.
then she asks you 8 million
Yes, and then she'll watch the Guardians movies. Well, that was kind of fine,
That one's- yeah.
But I'm like, don't do it that way. I would say do it in release order or literally timeline order.
Right. And
Like
the cool
start with
thing-
Captain Marvel. And,
The cool thing is that if you go onto Disney Plus right now,
Mm-hmm.
they have it in
Yes.
timeline order.
I know, and that's where I was like, telling
Luis
Ned.
was so
I
pissed
was like,
before we
dude, they
started.
fucked up right now because like what it was supposed to be back in like the 80s, the 90s. Motherfuckers.
Yeah, so he was pissed.
so he knew where it was going to be in the timeline.
Well, we assumed, right?
You assumed that it was going to be earlier, but since they put it on the timeline, you know exactly where it takes place. That's interesting. And the way that the movie starts out, it does technically takes place in the 80s or whatever, kind of technically before Captain
Could have
Marvel.
stayed.
Like the
It could
90s,
have
yeah.
stayed there.
But it didn't stay there, so we got to
Dude, we
shift
could
it
have
around.
seen her. I just realized this. We could have seen her as teenage kid turning into Black Widow.
That'd
Like
been
that
cool.
could have been a sick ass.
Yelena could have
telling
been
you.
playing like a younger version of Natasha.
Yeah.
Which, wouldn't that have been interesting? But you know, whatever.
We're not movie writers, apparently. Although, I know they're listening to us, so do it.
I think there are several variant versions of this movie,
Oh.
of this script or whatever, where
Alternate universe.
different things happen. But you know, this is just the one that they went with, that they felt the strongest about, and this is the one that
'Cause
they
they
put out.
stupid.
And
No, it's fun to speculate, so.
exactly, and overall, once again, it's still a good movie.
Ish.
That just it doesn't rank the top of the MCU chart. It's kind of like Pixar movies in that way.
That's the hard part,
This is
like-
the Good Dinosaur, you know. It's just like,
Okay, it's not that bad. It's like Brave.
Dude,
It's fine.
don't
It's like
talk
Brave.
Chicken
You,
Little.
fuck you. Brave
Chicken
is
Little,
great.
you got no
I would rather
argument,
watch Chicken Little
okay?
than The Good Dinosaur. any day.
Chicken Little, you have no
oh man,
argument.
what have I done? What have I done, you
Okay,
guys?
how much money did this make?
So this movie had a budget of $200 million. It came out post-pandemic or mid-pandemic, depending on your purview.
We still in. The
so
Delta's coming through.
it has made a worldwide box office so far of $286.8 million.
So it barely made its money.
So it's made its money back
in box office.
in box office, and that doesn't account for any of the Disney Plus money that they've made.
Okay.
And Disney did release numbers after its first weekend, saying that they made like $100 million off
So it's the
of Disney
lowest
Plus or something like that.
Marvel movie that's. You think?
The lowest modern Marvel movie. Like the first couple Marvel movies made about this much.
But that was like the timeline.
Right, like Captain America made around this much money. And you know, it's still early days. This movie only came out 2 weeks ago now.
I mean, the way I see it, at the point where you recoup your money, anything after that, it's a damn.
The hard thing though is that with the Marvel and the Pixar and all that, the expectation is to like triple, quadruple your
Right.
money.
I mean,
Well,
like,
especially after Endgame, I'm like, oh, it didn't make as much as Endgame,
Oh,
but I need to
the-
calm down. Like that was Avatar status,
like
you know.
Infinity War, Endgame, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, and I think a couple of the Spider-Mans all made over $1 billion, you know? So you know, Disney's Marvel's goal is like
$1 billion.
put out $1 billion banger every movie, you know?
Nice try.
Shang-Chi might get there. That thing looks legit.
I mean, that movie looks legit. I think a lot of people are going to go see it, but we're still in that pandemic period where movies aren't going to make that much money. They just aren't. So I think they know that they're going to be taking losses with all of these movies coming
can
out.
handle
So I am super excited about that movie, but please tell me, I know I ask this every time and it doesn't ever get easier on my heart, but when does Multiverse of Madness come out?
March.
That comes out in March of 2022.
Yeah, we got a
Oh,
while.
that's not so
It's
bad.
not so bad. There'll be Shang-Chi,
At least it's not fall.
The Eternals, and
And
then
then-
I think it's Doctor Strange.
Okay, that doesn't make me feel so bad. It's
That's
less
the
than
one
a
I'm
year
the
away.
most excited
Yeah.
about.
Oh,
I have,
we've been excited about that since pre-Endgame.
Right.
know.
Like, we were like, oh.
Doctor Strange
especially
2,
after I
baby.
saw Doctor Strange in Avengers Campus 2, I was like, what's with the multiverse, bro? What- what's
Tell me about that multiverse.
going on.
Tell me about that
What's
multiverse.
happening?
Tell me why.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
So
Cumberbatch.
So yeah, so I'm still very much looking forward to the future of the MCU. And as much as we've ragged on this particular movie, I do think overall
People liked it.
It's good.
For Yelena.
People will like it, and it's worth watching.
Yeah.
You know, this wasn't a Mulan where I was kind of mad.
No.
Mad that they took my $30. You know, on Disney Plus. or
That was a
whatever.
ripoff. Nobody's,
So glad I
nobody's
didn't go
talking
watch
about
it.
that.
Luis still hasn't seen it.
Luis was right.
Nobody-
Hashtag Luis was right.
Literally nobody's talking about that movie for a reason.
but
It was
then-
not good.
But then that's the only time I haven't boycotted purchasing a movie.
right.
I purchased
Yeah.
every single one after that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you know, I guess at that point there were all the ones I purchased actually have all
Been good.
have been dual theater and
Yeah, Raya and this and
Raya was in theaters, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Raya
And we
came out
didn't
in theaters.
purchase Raya. We just stole their Disney Plus stuff.
Oh, that's
No,
Just
right.
like I'm gonna
purchased
steal
two.
yours
Mama,
for
which of
Black
the
Widow now.
Cruella.
Cruella.
That was really good, and yeah, that one came out both in theaters
So
and.
this has an 81% on Rotten Tomatoes
Right.
and then 92% audience score. But I only think the audience score is a little higher because most of the reviews I've read is that people love Yelena.
For sure.
Yeah,
That
I
she
mean-
like made it. So I think they're
Yelena
rating
and
it.
Alexi were just
I
like...
think they're just rating it higher because of their performances.
But I mean that's a legitimate part of the movie. It's like this probably should have been like a movie.
We should have been like, Scarlett Johansson's the best!
Exactly, like she should
it
have
should have
been.
been ScarJo City, but it wasn't.
Right, it was not. It was.
I think I was
Yelena
also
Town,
reading
baby.
a review from someone, and they were like, Scarlett Johansson should be embarrassed that this was
Well,
her movie. I'm like, she didn't write it. Like,
Well,
calm down.
That's the thing is
She
that
didn't write
Actually,
it.
she's an executive producer on
Yeah.
this movie.
Oh well, then she fucked up.
Well, no, I think she, from her perspective, is that she's been playing this character for over 10 years, and she's happy to give it off to somebody else now at this point.
She's like, I did, move along.
Just like the other people, they're like, listen, we've been doing this a long
Right,
time.
I'm cool with passing on this legacy to a new person, and I think she did a good job. If that was her goal, if that was if the goal was to give this movie over to what's the actress's name?
Yelena.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yelena, played by
Yelena.
Florence Pugh.
I really like
Florence and the Machine.
I liked her a lot. I think she's the standout role of this movie, and I'm very excited to see more of her in the MCU. So
and I hope she keeps her Russian accent.
right, yeah. I hope she
Good
doesn't.
God.
Hope she doesn't lose
You
it like
can't be like Black Widow.
like Scarlet Witch over here. So the critics' consensus for this movie says Black Widow's deeper themes are drowned out in all the action, but it remains a solidly entertaining standalone adventure that's rounded out by a stellar supporting cast.
True.
And then the audience consensus says Black Widow serves up another savory helping of blockbuster Marvel formula with a fun family dynamic, adding extra character development in the midst of all the action.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think those both kind of hit on the same thing we've been saying this entire time, is that the family aspect of this movie is kind of its best part. followed by the action,
No,
and then
I'm
followed
sorry.
far by the plot, you know?
Well, the plot is the farthest, but if I see one more fucking action scene where they're falling from the sky and fighting, I'm gonna lose my mind.
There was only one of those.
Yeah.
No,
just one.
what's the other movie?
It
we
was
saw?
long though. It
I'm
was
not
a
sure.
long fall.
It was a long, I mean, they were the
And the
red
other
room in the
movie we
sky.
saw was like that too, and I don't remember which one
was
it
it
was.
that Infinite on Paramount Plus movie?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
We watched Infinite on Paramount Plus. It's like another superhero movie.
It was like a Mark Wahlberg
And they
movie.
were doing the same thing, and I was like, "We just saw this happen. Like, I'm over this." But okay, I'm gonna.
I was annoyed that they made it to the floor with less. The floor.
The floor,
They made
the
it
ground.
to the ground with less injuries.
Dude,
Yeah, that's what happens. I'm like, "You're dead, bro."
I'm like-
It was nuts, like-
you're not. You have no serum in
she had already jumped out, like,
She's
Natasha.
like, "Ooh, ooh."
It's so funny that Natasha dies in Endgame by falling, and in this movie, she falls a gajillion times. It's like, I'm alive,
That's
baby.
a great
It's like a
point.
big joke.
Yeah.
Like, at one point, she falls off a building and, like, hits her head, like, 4 times on the way down, like, ding, 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 and then hits the ground, and
That's
she's
a
all
great
right.
point.
And the Black Widow who had just fallen before her, like, fell
Died.
straight down, and she's like, I'm dead. I can no longer function.
Those
or
are
move.
things that we think about more now because we criticize so many movies.
Yeah.
you
Well,
know?
and, but we know she's dead. It's like, so you fell off, bye girl.
Bitch, you fell there, but you fell there, and you okay?
So on Vormir, you just die no
Yeah.
matter what. You fall off.
I think it was the willingness to die. Maybe that might have done
you
it.
gotta purposefully jump off this to.
Well, I'm gonna rate this movie. I wanted to give it a 7.5, but I'm gonna give it an 8 because
Okay.
I did like it.
Yeah.
Like the plot is like a 7 to me, but because of because of the characters holding it up, it was good.
Yeah.
It's an 8. It's
Indeed.
not a C to me. It's like a low B,
Low B.
like a 79-80%,
Yeah.
7.
and that's acceptable. And I enjoyed it, and I kind of want to watch it again. I might like it more the second time.
Word.
I don't want to watch Dark World again, and I would probably rewatch
Dark
this one.
World is
So
low
I'll call
tier.
this one same. I'll call it a 79. I'll call it. I mean, like, it's a high C for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lou?
Supporting cast.
I don't see what the big fuss is about a Yelena. To me, all of them kind of hit flat except Lexi.
Oh, okay.
You know, I didn't.
Do you not have a heart?
I mean, honestly,
Did you not like her vest?
If you were supposed to make this a
It's all
passing of the
pockets.
torch, you should have put more emphasis on Yelena. I
Oh,
didn't
okay.
see it. I didn't see it enough for her character to stand out as the make or break of this.
I thought
movie.
you would love her. You rave about cargo pants. She was wearing a cargo vest with lots of pockets.
So
too.
many pockets. It's so cool.
But anyways, I'd give it about a 7. It wasn't an awful movie, but I'm not gonna give it a pity B.
A pity
A
me.
pity B. So you're giving it like a 7?
I'd give it about a 7, 7.5.
7.5. Yeah. I'm. I think I'm like right there on the cusp. It's like a 7.9 or an 8. You know, I think I will give it the 8 because I enjoyed Alexei and Yelena so much in this movie. I think the two of them are standout characters to me. There's another character in this movie that we didn't even mention once in this whole review. It's that the fixer guy, her friend that
OT
she keeps curving. She's like, "Get out of my bed, dude. I don't want you to hang out." He's like, "Okay, well maybe one day." And she's like, "Nah." But yeah, I don't expect to see much more of him in the MCU. But maybe
No.
he'll show up or whatever. But if I don't
Maybe
see,
he'll be like, what's his name in the TV show?
Coulson.
No, not Coulson.
He could be the next Coulson
Who's
because
the-
this is how Coulson started.
yeah, I guess
Well, that's true. Who's the black guy that's always in the MCU TV shows?
Turk.
Turk. Maybe he's like Turk. Do you remember Turk?
Is he in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
No, he was in Daredevil and.
Oh, that's right.
Luke Cage.
He was the gun guy.
Yeah.
See, that guy's awesome. I miss that
Turk was
dude.
fantastic.
He should have been in this movie.
Right?
But yeah, this guy is just like a little lackluster or whatever. But if I don't see some more Red Guardian and obviously more Yelena, then I'm gonna be upset because they were really good. Really standoutish, really funny, like hilarious the entire way through, and that's the thing about this movie is that it delivered on those Marvel things of action and humor. You know, they did a pretty good mix of that in this, even if it wasn't all super plot wonderful. You know,
I'm gonna be
The
honest.
action scenes were awesome.
yeah,
I might change it to like a 7.8 because Taskmaster. I don't necessarily know the backstory to him.
Sure.
I don't need to know because as far as I'm concerned, this is where Taskmaster starts in the MCU.
Sure.
And if Marvel Studios has proven anything, is that they don't always go to the
comic origins.
To the comic origins.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that, but I just wish that there was a little bit more to the character in this version. Like, say a single word, the entire time. Even if it was like doing like some Bumblebee from Transformer stuff where she could only copy like phrases from the Marvel characters or something like that. That'd have been kind of funny.
But she was like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Okay," or
Avengers,
something,
assemble, or whatever. Every time she had to do a fight move, she had to say, "I am Iron Man," kind of.
I am Groot.
It's so interesting that you guys say that, because look at the old school Boba Fett. Exactly the same type of origin and character.
That's
and
fair.
Loved
Bounty hunter, don't say nothing, just shows up and does cool shit. Yeah. I agree with you there.
To me, what gave her substance and gave her a lot was at the end, is he dead? Because even though she couldn't talk, she was hurt, she was in pain throughout that whole time.
Right. Yeah.
That closed that character for me. Okay. Like, I didn't even know anything else.
That's good. I'm glad you felt that, because I didn't really feel it upon my viewing, but yeah, maybe I'll go back again and see a little bit more to the Taskmaster character.
And that's where I guess I'm different from you three, because you three like the theatrics and the glamour and everything. I'm like, no, straight to the point. You're a killing machine. I don't care about anything else. Let's just go.
Let's just go.
Why are you on a movie podcast, bro?
Because y'all fucking dragged me into it. It's like blood in, blood out.
And you ain't getting no blood out.
Yeah, you staying in, son. No blood out.
This is worse than Dormammu with freaking Doctor Strange.
I'm come to bargain, Luis. All right, you guys.
Luis.
That has been it for our Black Widow episode. Let us know what you thought of this movie. I assume that it'll be kind of polarizing.
Yeah.
Put what you thought of the movie in the comments down below. Make sure you're following us on all the socials. We're at the Walt Vault Pod.
And we want to know how you saw it. Did you see it via Premiere Access? Did you see it in...
Did you brave the movie theaters? Did you go out? Did you mask up? What did you do? Let us know. Tell us about it. Tell us about the whole experience. Was it your first movie back in the theaters? Speaking of movies, next week we will be doing another Marvel film. We are going way back into time.
Is it considered MCU even though
it is considered MCU, even though the character was recast and it took place under the Universal banner instead of like the Marvel Studios banner. It is still it's still MCU. We are going to be watching the 2010 The Incredible Hulk movie starring Edward Norton. But it has William Hurt, who plays Thunderbolt Ross, who was in Black Widow. And there is a post-credit scene featuring Tony Stark. So that's how it's all connected.
Did it come out with that post-credit scene originally?
Yes. So Iron Man came out. Iron Man had its post-credit scene with Samuel Jackson and Nick Fury, and then The Incredible Hulk came out, I think, the next year, and they like snuck a post-credit scene in with Tony Stark at the very end, like right before the movie was set to come out. They filmed it, shot it, and put it in at the end of the movie. Yeah, to connect it to the larger MCU, which is great. And I remember enjoying Edward Norton as the Hulk, even though the movie itself isn't super stellar or whatever. But I think we're gonna have a good time
Have you ever
rewatching
seen this movie?
Oh yeah, I love Edward Norton.
Yeah.
I know you love Edward Norton.
Yeah, dude.
I've never seen this movie, but I'm excited to because I want to see like some more origin. I don't know why I'm not assuming anything, but I guess in my mind when I think of this, it's like a cross between Wolverine becoming Wolverine and Captain America becoming Captain America.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's kind of similar.
Like, kind of gone wrong, kind of works, kind of is a fuck up.
Yeah.
So
and now we got to wear a heart rate monitor to keep it all together.
We just watched like Adeline is on one right now. We also watched Thor Ragnarok.
Okay,
and so it's funny because I'm sure. Like, that is so Mark, right? Like, everything is his character.
Yeah.
So it'll be really interesting to see the Hulk as Edward Norton. So when he turns into Hulk, is he like CG Edward Norton?
Not really. I think it was before they had that capability of like scanning the actor's face so that he looked like the Hulk. But this Hulk doesn't look like the Avengers Hulk either.
Okay.
Necessarily. and a lot of the scenes are kind of dark. You know, we'll see next week. We'll talk about how hulky he looks in comparison to what we know of him in the MCU. So yeah,
We'll have to tone down our comparison.
Yeah. We'll be very kind to Edward Norton. So we'll see you guys next week.
Poor Agent Ross, man.
Yeah,
he's like having
triple bypasses.
Yeah, a couple triple bypasses.
The second or third triple bypass.
Goodness gracious, this Hulk is causing some tension.
Eat some greens, motherfucker.
Get some Cheerios in your life, Thunderbolt. So we will see you guys next week for some Incredible Hulk goodness. Make sure you're subscribed on all podcast platforms. Check us out on Patreon. We got extra content and early content coming out over there for you. Patreon.com/The Walt Vault. Send an email to contact@thewaltvaultpod.com. We'll read your message on the show. And that's been it. All right. We'll see you guys next time for some hulky Edward Norton goodness. The vault is now closed.
I stumped up.